So this is a AI generated podcast from Google's Notebook LLM that I fed a bunch of articles from ultimatemaitai.com. It created this podcast with two hosts that are going to talk about the Mai Tai. So let's see how they do. I will stop here and there for some commentary and so forth. So let's go.
All right, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the world of the Mai Tai, one of the most famous and, let's be honest, often misrepresented tropical cocktails out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Got a whole stack of articles and blog posts here,
Yeah.
all about the Mai Tai's history, the evolution of the recipe, and even some recommendations for where to find the best ones. So
I'm ready to get those island vibes going.
yeah, me too.
You.
So have you ever wondered where the Mai Tai actually came from? Because, hint, it's not Hawaii.
You're telling me.
And why are there so many different versions out there? Like, what even is a Mai Tai anymore?
That's a great question. And that
This is actually a good way to start this, right? Talk about the origin of the drink, and it doesn't come from Hawaii, and that there's just some different versions of here. This is actually pretty good information, and I guess those voices do sound pretty good, very radio friendly, especially that dude's got that radio voice. We'll see how the rest of this goes.
that's exactly what we're going to untangle today. We're separating fact from, well, tiki-fied fiction.
I like that, tiki-fied fiction.
It's a whole genre.
It really is. Okay, so let's start with the most common story you hear, which is that the Mai Tai was created in 1944 by Trader Vic. Real name, Victor Bergeron, right?
Right, at his restaurant in Oakland, California. And the story goes that he made this new drink, and some Tahitian friends tried it and exclaimed, Mai Tai Roa E, which means out of this world, the best.
Classic. Oh, that's a pretty good marketing story.
There's always a but.
I'm sensing a but coming.
Rightfully so. Because while Bergeron definitely popularized the Mai Tai, his claim to be the sole inventor is, well, a bit shaky.
Okay, lay it on me.
Yeah.
What makes the origin story so shaky?
Well, for starters, his 1946 Book of Food and Drink, doesn't mention the Mai Tai at all.
Interesting.
You can kind of see where they went off the track on this. The stuff that I have on my website that talks about the Mai Tai not being a breakout hit when it was invented in 1944 doesn't say anything about the fact that Bergeron was not the originator of this cocktail. So they're kind of going off the rails a little bit here, not quite understanding the material.
You'd think if it was this instant sensation, it would have gotten at least a shout out in his own book.
You would think.
So what else is going on here?
There's just no real evidence of this so-called Mai Tai craze sweeping Oakland in the 1940s.
Like no newspaper articles, nobody.
Exactly. No mentions in other cocktail guides from that era. It seems the Mai Tai's rise to fame was a bit more gradual than the legend suggests.
Okay, so the timeline might be a little fuzzy, but what about the actual recipe? What did Trader Vic actually put in his original Mai Tai?
That's where it gets interesting. Because his 1944 recipe was surprisingly simple. It really relied on top-shelf ingredients to shine.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
We're talking 17-year-old Jamaican rum, orange curacao, orgeat syrup, a touch of rock candy
Orgeat. Okay, there you go.
syrup, and fresh lime juice.
Okay, so no pineapple wedges, no little umbrellas.
No. This is a far cry from the sugary concoctions you sometimes see masquerading as Mai Tais today.
Totally. It's like they just took the name and ran with it.
Exactly. Bergeron's original creation was all about letting the quality of the rum take center stage, with those subtle hints of citrus and almond from the curacao and orgeat it.
I mean, that sounds delicious. But, we've got Trader Vic's Oakland origin story. You mentioned it wasn't so clear-cut. Was there someone else also claiming to be the Mai Tai inventor?
There was indeed. Don Beach, the founder of the Don the Beachcomber restaurants, also had a Mai Tai on his menu, although his was called a Mai Tai Swizzle.
Ooh, tiki rivalry. It's getting heated in the tropical cocktail world.
It definitely got contentious. Don Beach's widow even claimed that he invented the Mai Tai before Bergeron. But the evidence for that is mostly anecdotal.
Huh.
And you know what? It even went to court.
Wait, a court case over a cocktail?
It's true.
That's amazing.
In the 1970s, Trader Vic's actually sued to secure the rights to the name Mai Tai.
Yeah.
They won.
Wow. So legally speaking, Bergeron gets to claim the title.
It seems so.
But did their cocktails even taste similar?
That's the funny part. Not at all. The Mai Tai Swizzle had a completely different recipe from Bergeron's version.
Really?
So even within the tiki world, there could be wildly different interpretations of the same drink.
That is fascinating. So Trader Vic wins the legal battle.
Mm-hmm.
But the debate over the true Mai Tai recipe just continues.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting, right?
Totally.
You've got this mysterious origin story, competing claims, and then the cocktail itself goes through this whole evolution.
Speaking of evolution, I know for a while, the Mai Tai, like a lot of classic cocktails, got a little lost in translation.
You're not wrong.
Like, what happened there?
Well,
This is again a good transition into the evolution of the Mai Tai here after you sort of start with the original origin story and the original recipe here. Again, all that Don the Beachcomber stuff I really do find tiresome because there's really not a lot of evidence, but it is part of the lore of the Mai Tai, that's for sure. This whole fight about it, the ownership and all that sort of thing.
Well, in the latter half of the 20th century, you had pre-mixed ingredients becoming really popular and a trend towards sweeter drinks. So a lot of Mai Tais ended up overly sweet and artificial tasting.
Ugh, I can imagine. What a shame to think of a carefully crafted cocktail like this getting drowned in all those syrupy mixes.
Oh, no.
But luckily for us, there are some tiki enthusiasts out there who are determined to bring back the real deal.
Exactly.
So who were these tiki heroes?
Well, that's where cocktail historian Jeff Beachbum Berry enters the picture.
Okay, tell me more about him.
He dedicated himself to researching classic tiki cocktails, including the Mai Tai, and really played a key role in reviving that 1944 recipe in the 1990s.
So you're like a cocktail archaeologist, unearthing those forgotten recipes.
Exactly. He really dug deep into tiki history.
Now, we know Jeff Berry did do a lot of deep research, but for the Mai Tai in particular, he did not do a lot of research other than opening up the 1972 Trader Vic's Bartender's Guide, taking the recipe from there and putting it in his books. But certainly because those books were popular, that helped reinforce that this is the kind of Mai Tai you should be getting, not the kind of recipes I think we're going to talk about in a little bit here, you know, the pineapple juice Mai Tais, all that sort of thing. So again, didn't quite get this right, but he certainly deserves a lot of credit for popularizing all kinds of exotic and tiki cocktails during the 90s and early 2000s, including the Mai Tai. But he didn't exactly have to do a lot of research to get the recipe.
Published Bergeron's original recipe in his books and even experimented with available rums to try and recreate that authentic 1944 flavor profile.
Talk about dedication. So his work really sparked this renewed interest in the Mai Tai. And it wasn't just him, right?
Right. Martin Cate, another major figure in the modern tiki scene, continued that research while he was working on his book, Smuggler's Cove, Exotic Cocktails, Rum, and the Cult of Tiki.
Right.
He realized that the Martinique rum Bergeron used might not have been the type everyone assumed it was.
Okay, so I'm thinking rum from Martinique is just rum from Martinique.
Right. But what Cate found was descriptions of the Martinique rum used by Bergeron didn't match the rum agricole. That's common today.
Okay.
Rum agricole is made from sugarcane juice, but Bergeron likely used a rum industrial, which is made from molasses.
So even though the recipe said Martinique rum, there was still this detail that had been overlooked for years.
Exactly. And that realization led Cate to team up with Denizen Rum to create a blend specifically designed to replicate the flavor of the rum Bergeron likely used.
Now, they're not really given the context that this Martinique rum was used in a adjusted recipe down the line. They go from the 17-year rum, and they don't really give you the context about the evolution here, at least not so far in this podcast.
In Merchant's Reserve.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's like they cracked the code of the original Mai Tai. No. Would you say the Denizen Merchant?
And again, Denizen Merchant's Reserve is not trying to replicate the original Mai Tai. Spec is trying to replicate the second adjusted rum ratio.
This reserve is like the go-to rum if you're aiming for that authentic 1944 experience.
It's definitely considered a top choice.
Okay.
But, you know, with the growing availability of high-quality rums from all over, modern Mai Tais are also embracing experimentation.
So it's not just about recreating the past. It's also about pushing the Mai Tai forward.
Precisely. Bartenders are using aged rums from Mexico, Hawaii, even modern Martinique rums to create these unique twists on the classic.
That's really cool. I love seeing how history can inspire new creations. It's like this conversation between past and present, all happening in a cocktail glass.
Beautifully said.
And speaking of the past influencing the present, let's not forget how Oakland, the birthplace of the Mai Tai, embraced its cocktail legacy.
Right. There's a great story there.
Yeah, I was reading about a Mai Tai enthusiast who actually led the charge to make it Oakland's official cocktail.
Yeah, that was Michael Thanos, an Oakland restaurateur. And he was instrumental in getting the city to declare August 30th, or the near Sunday, as Mai Tai Day back in 2009.
So there's a whole day dedicated to the Mai Tai. And this year, they actually made it official. The Mai Tai is Oakland's cocktail.
That's right.
That's
Oakland's cocktail, not official cocktail. That's sort of a bad wording or whatever. But again, good lore here, talking about Michael Thanos. I mean, a lot of this is taken straight from my page about the history of the Mai Tai. So they're talking about Jeff Barry, they're talking about Martin Kate, talking about Michael Thanos, because those are the people I'm mentioning in my article there.
it's fantastic.
There really is a fitting tribute to a cocktail with such a fascinating and at times contentious history.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground already. We've gone from a hazy origin story to a legal battle to a full-blown tiki revival. And I bet you're ready to learn how to make one of these legendary Mai Tais yourself.
I am. And in the next part, we'll do just that. We'll break down the key ingredients that make a truly great Mai Tai, and you'll learn all the secrets to crafting one yourself.
Perfect. I can't wait. Hashtag TTS, the deep dive episode 2024-12-17, part 2 of 3.
Welcome back to our Mai Tai deep dive. So in part 1, we took you on this journey through the history of this iconic cocktail.
We did.
From its mysterious origins to its triumphant revival.
We unraveled some myths, explored some rivalries, even learned about a court battle over the name.
It's a wild ride. And now it's time to get to the heart of the Mai Tai, the ingredients.
Yes, because
So this is pretty good, right? They give the history first, and then they can talk about the ingredients. This is not a bad way to format it here. Although, again, all that discussion about Martinique rum would have been better served after you talk about what that is.
what good is a cocktail's history if you don't know how to make the darn thing? So let's break down those key components that make a Mai Tai truly, well, Mai Tai Roa A, right?
Let's do it. And first and foremost, we have to talk about rum. It's the soul of the Mai Tai. And understanding the different types and their roles is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so
Soul of the Mai Tai is a good phrase there, and it's definitely not something they're pulling from my site. So they're using what they see and sort of interpreting it in its related sort of way.
rum isn't just one thing, it's a whole category, right?
Absolutely. And Trader Vic himself used a variety of rums throughout the Mai Tai's evolution.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, in his original 1944 recipe, he called for a 17-year-old Jamaican rum. This is a bold, complex spirit that really forms the backbone of the drink.
That aged Jamaican rum sounds intense, but I remember you mentioning that he later used a blend of rums in that Hawaiian version. Why the change?
Good catch. So the Hawaiian Mai Tai, which really gained popularity in the 1950s, used a combination of Jamaican and Puerto Rican rums.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the Jamaican rum provided the depth and character, while that lighter Puerto Rican rum added smoothness and balance, making it more approachable for a wider audience.
Gotcha. So it's like a rum tag team.
Yeah.
Each bringing its own strengths to the mix. I like
A rum tag team. There you go.
that. But with so many rums out there, how do you even begin to choose the right one for a Mai Tai?
Well, if you're aiming for that classic 1944 flavor, you're looking for a rich, aged Jamaican rum. Think notes of dark chocolate, tobacco, and spice. And a good bartender can definitely point you in the right direction.
Okay, so aged Jamaican rum for the purists. What about for folks who are maybe newer to the world of rum? Are there any other options?
So this is good. I think we're talking about different kinds of rums and how they might be used in the Mai Tai recipe here.
Of course. Remember that Denison Merchants Reserve we talked about? It was
Yeah.
specifically blended?
Yeah.
To emulate the flavor profile of what Bergeron likely used in his original Mai Tai.
Oh.
So it's a great choice for both beginners and experienced cocktail enthusiasts alike.
So Denison Merchants Reserve is like a good shortcut to that authentic 1944 taste. Love it.
Yeah.
Now, I know modern Mai Tais often feature rums from different regions. Are there any types in particular to look out for?
Yeah, bartenders are now experimenting with aged rums from Mexico, Martinique, and Hawaii. For example, a high ester rum from Jamaica can add this funky, almost savory dimension to the Mai Tai.
Funky rum. I'm going to have to look out for that one.
It's definitely a thing. And then you've got rums from Martinique, both the sugarcane-based rum agricole and the molasses-based rum industrial can bring unique grassy or molasses-forward notes to the cocktail.
Oh, interesting.
And don't overlook aged rums from Hawaii. They tend to have a smooth, slightly sweet profile.
So much variety.
So much variety. And they're going on again, sort of repeated what they talked about earlier with those other types of rums here.
It seems like the rum selection can really make or break a Mai Tai.
It really can. But let's move on to the next key ingredient, that citrus kick.
Right, orange curacao.
Exactly. It adds that citrusy, slightly bitter element that balances out the richness of the rum.
Now, I've seen different kinds of orange curacao. Is there a particular one that works best in a Mai Tai?
For the most authentic experience, you'd want to use a high quality dry curacao. But you can also substitute a good triple sec, like Cointreau, which will
Dry curacao in that context is not a type of liqueur. It's a specific brand, the Ferrand dry curacao. So it's really not accurate to say that. Orange curacao, that's what you want.
still give you that essential citrus note.
Okay, so dry curacao is the gold standard, but triple sec works in a pinch. Got it. What else is essential in a Mai Tai?
Next up, we have orgeat. It's an almond flavored syrup. That adds this unique nutty sweetness and a velvety texture.
Orgeat. That's not an ingredient you see in every cocktail. So what makes it so important in a Mai Tai?
It's
He could actually pronounce it better than she could. That's interesting.
really what gives the Mai Tai its signature flavor profile. Those subtle almond notes blend beautifully with the rum and the citrus, creating this really harmonious balance.
It sounds delicious. So orgeat is like the peacemaker, bringing all those bold flavors together. I love it. Are there different types of orgeat, or is it pretty standard?
When you're choosing orgeat, look for a high quality one made with real almonds rather than artificial flavorings. The difference is noticeable.
Okay, good to know. High quality orgeat. Check. What about sweeteners?
Now, Bergeron's original recipe called for rock candy syrup, which is just a simple syrup made with rock candy sugar.
Rock candy syrup. Sounds fancy. But is it a must-have for a classic Mai Tai?
You can absolutely substitute it with a rich demerara syrup, which has a similar depth of flavor.
Okay, demerara syrup it is. And of course, we can't forget about the lime juice. That's what gives the Mai Tai its refreshing zing, right?
You got it. Fresh lime juice is essential. It provides that tartness that balances out the sweetness of the other ingredients and keeps the drink from being too cloying.
So, no cheating with bottled lime juice.
Absolutely not. Always use fresh lime juice. For the best flavor and balance in your Mai Tai, it makes a world of difference.
All right.
It's actually pretty good advice there, right? To use fresh lime juice and not bottled. So again, if you were listening to this, if this was an actual podcast that was talking about something for a general audience, to emphasize that point, actually pretty good.
Mental note made. Freshly squeezed lime juice, no exceptions. So we've covered the rum, the orange curacao, the orgeat, the sweeteners, and that fresh lime juice. The building blocks of a truly great Mai Tai.
We have. And now that we've explored all the essential ingredients, it's time to put them all together.
That's right. And in part 3, we'll dive into some classic and modern Mai Tai recipes, so you can start mixing up your own tiki masterpieces. Hashtag TTS The Deep Dive episode 2024-12-17, part 3 of 3.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to do this recording from when I generated this file back in December. Oh well.
Welcome back. We've explored the Mai Tai's wild history, gotten up close and personal with those key ingredients. Now it's time for the main event. The recipes.
I'm excited to see what you've learned. Are you ready to make some tiki magic?
Absolutely.
They haven't really touched too much about Hawaii and the pineapple juice thing and the history and how it evolved. Not really in this so far, so we'll see how that goes with only about 4 minutes left in the recording here.
Let's start with the OG, Trader Vic's 1944 Mai Tai. Time to travel back to the very beginning.
Sounds good to me. Let's raise our shakers to the past.
Okay, so for this taste of tiki history, you'll need 2 ounces of aged Jamaican rum, half an ounce of orange curacao, half an ounce of orgeat syrup, a quarter ounce of raw candy syrup, or rich demerara syrup, and 1 ounce of fresh lime juice.
Remember, those measurements are key. Precision is what separates a good Mai Tai from a truly great one.
Got it. No eyeballing this one. So what's the mixing method?
You combine all of the ingredients in a shaker with crushed ice. Then shake it vigorously until the shaker is nice and frosty.
Easy enough.
Strain the mixture into a double old-fashioned glass filled with fresh crushed ice. Garnish with a spent lime shell and a sprig of fresh mint.
There you have it, a little taste of tiki history. Now, what about that Hawaiian Mai Tai? That really helped make this drink famous.
Here's where we get to see how the Mai Tai started to evolve. For this version, we'll be using a blend of rums.
Okay, so for the original Hawaiian Mai Tai, we'll need 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, a third of an ounce of orgeat syrup, a third of an ounce of rock candy syrup, or again, that rich demerara syrup, a third of an ounce of orange curacao, 1.5 ounces of light Puerto Rican rum, and 1.5 ounces of dark Jamaican rum.
It's interesting to see those equal parts of sweetener there. It's a real signature of this Hawaiian style.
Yeah. And how do we put
Yes, this equal parts of the sweetener is very key and distinct with these original Hawaiian Mai Tais before it evolved into all of the pineapple juice and orange juice type Mai Tais.
it all together?
It's the same mixing method as the 1944 Mai Tai. Combine all the ingredients in a shaker with crushed ice. Shake well, and then strain into a double old-fashioned glass filled with fresh crushed ice. Garnish with a lime shell and a sprig of mint.
All right. Two classic recipes down.
Yeah.
But I know our listeners are adventurous. What about something a little more modern?
Okay, for our final recipe, let's explore a modern Mai Tai variation that really showcases the amazing variety of rums out there. This one uses a combination of Jamaican and Martinique rums.
I'm intrigued. So what'll we need for this modern twist?
For this one, you'll need 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, half an ounce of orgeat syrup, a quarter ounce of rich demerara syrup, half an ounce of orange curacao, 1 ounce of aged Jamaican rum, like Appleton Estate 12-year-old, and 1 ounce of rum agricole from Martinique, like Clement VSOP.
Wow, this is really stepping outside the box. I mean, those Martinique rums, they bring something totally different to the table.
They do. And remember, you can always experiment with different aged rums. To find a flavor combination that you love, that's part of the fun of the modern Mai Tai movement.
That's awesome. So same mixing.
So this, they're taking basically the beach rum berry version of the Jamaican rum and Martinique rum, and specifically calling for an aged rum agricole, which can be delicious. Many places serve it this way. Notice they're not really talking about the Hawaiian Mai Tai with pineapple juice, though, interestingly.
Method.
Exactly. Combine everything in your shaker with crushed ice, give it a good shake, and then strain it into a double old-fashioned glass filled with fresh crushed ice. And don't forget that lime shell and mint sprig for garnish.
3 incredible recipes. We've journeyed through the Mai Tai's history, explored its key ingredients, and now you have all the knowledge you need to make some amazing Mai Tais at home.
It's been quite the deep dive. Who knew a single cocktail could have such a rich and complex story?
I know, right? So next time you're feeling adventurous, skip those pre-made mixes. Embrace the art of the Mai Tai. Whether you stick to the classics or experiment with those modern twists, you're in for a real treat.
And as always, remember to drink responsibly and enjoy the experience.
Cheers to that. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
So there it is. Well, not such a bad job. If you, put this in front of some newbies, they probably would learn a little bit here. And yeah, it was not quite coherent in some places here, but not bad for an I suppose. Of course, talking to a real expert, a real person who knows what they're doing, probably condense this down into a much smaller and faster introduction to the Mai Tai. But overall, I give Notebook LLM, let's give it a B plus. How about that? Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.